Speaking of migrants, let's talk about it because a lot of people are scared. They say they scared. They say they don't know what's going to happen because of this mass deportation and Trump finally putting in place things to solve for the issues that y'all been complaining about. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock out.
10 minutes to the top of the hour, everybody. And with the presidential inauguration just 70 days away, some cities along the U.S.-Mexico border say they are preparing for an influx of illegal crossings. Down in Texas, authorities are also concerned about an increasing number of unaccompanied children making their way to the country. News Nation's Jorge Ventura is live for us in Eagle Pass, Texas this morning. Jorge, what's happening with these migrant groups?
So, Marky, I'm here on the Eagle Pass border. It's one of the deadliest crossing points throughout the southern border. And authorities here, Texas DPS and Border Patrol agents, are already seeing those migrant encounters rise, but also a growing number of unaccompanied children. Just this past weekend, Texas DPS did encounter a group of over 100 migrants, including 13 children traveling alone, some young as 7 years old. These children often rely on strangers to be guided through cartel-controlled areas, adding extreme risk to their journeys. Now, Texas DPS reports a surge in unaccompanied minors, with over 100 arriving alone in the first half of October, many marked with colored wristbands by cartels signaling payment for crossing through those dangerous areas. Now, when these children encounter authorities, they often have notes with them with sponsor addresses. Sometimes that address is actually written on them. Recently, a group of unaccompanied minors was found with addresses to sponsors in states like New York, California, Colorado, and Florida. And as of November 1st, the Department of Health and Human Services is caring for over 6,000 unaccompanied children.
What world do we live in, bro? What world do we live in? I'm not even sure if we living in 2024 or if we living in 1904. I don't even know what the hell is happening anymore, man. It's so much chaos. It's so much craziness. They rushing the border in order to try to get over here before Trump take office. But then how is that going to benefit you? Because right after Trump takes office, he getting everybody up out of there. And so now they sending unaccompanied minors with addresses written on them, and they got to cross over the... This is crazy. It's crazy, man.
Working to reduce the average stay of 34 days while prioritizing their safety. And with more children traveling alone, the surge is a reality here in Eagle Pass, and authorities say they are prepared for a larger migrant influx ahead of January's inauguration.
And Jorge, with the numbers increasing, do authorities have some sort of plan in place if the surge continues or even escalates?
So authorities are telling us that they're bracing for all scenarios here. Texas DPS is doubling down on Operation Lone Star. Texas DPS also telling us that they have mass migration teams just in case of that larger surge in Brownsville and El Paso. National Guard alongside local law enforcement is already running intense battle-ready drills. Captain Daniel Manning of Task Force East says these exercises keep these teams prepared for a swift, coordinated action if these larger groups arrive ahead of January. Now, in Eagle Pass, National Guard soldiers from Texas and Louisiana are mortar fighting key sections along the border with razor wire and expanding the border wall in Cameron and Maverick County. And officials say that these measures can help manage the surge, but
now they want to expand the border wall. Remember when Biden first got into office and Biden said, listen, now that we got Trump up out of there and we stole the election, because again, there's no way in hell you ever going to convince me, and in no way, shape, or form are you ever going to convince me that Biden got 81 million votes, especially during a pandemic. No way in hell are you ever going to convince me that Biden got 81 million votes during the pandemic. I'm not going for it. You're never going to sell me on it. No way, shape, and how are you ever in any way, shape, or form going to tell me that Biden got 81 million votes, 12 million more than the next closest competitor, which was probably Obama. Nope, I'm not going for it. But what's waiting on people now that Trump is saying, hey, we need to be careful. If you still want to come over here and you still trying to get up in here and you're not paying attention, you're not trying to make your own country great again like we trying to make America great again, they saying that kidnapping and extortion is awaiting for migrants that's at the border trying to get over here illegally. Check it out.
Migrants hoping to reach the United States fill the rafts crossing the Suchiate River on the Guatemala border. But as they set foot in Mexico, many end up in the hands of drug cartels. Like this Honduran woman and her family who preferred to remain nameless for fear of retaliations. They were held for 3 days in a structure filled with other abducted migrants known as the chicken coop until they could pay $100 each in ransom.
We crossed the river, then several men approached on motorcycles. They took us. They asked us what we were doing, that we were foreigners and not supposed to be there. They demanded money. Today my brother was able to do a wire transfer. We paid them and they let us go.
The criminals stamped their skin to signal they had paid. The kids were marked too.
They said, take off your shirt, and they stamped us. They say that it's their seal. And once you're stamped, anyone who checks us would not hurt us because they control the area. They say that if you're not stamped and other people catch you, you have to pay again.
This ain't nothing but a racket, bro. This is nothing but a racket. I wish I could say, I know that my platform has gotten a lot more visibility right now because we got a lot of people watching this live. It's over 7,000 people watching this on YouTube alone. And so with more visibility, you got to be a lot more careful with what you say. But on the surface, I'm not going for it. I'm not just thinking that, oh my gosh, it's only the cartels that's benefiting from this and this and that and so on and so forth. I don't believe that. I don't believe it even a little bit. I believe differently. Let's just say that. The federal government is powerful enough to fund a Ukraine war over in Russia, a proxy war, funding weapons and giving money over to Israel, battling China with Taiwan for the semiconductor chip war. They know everything. Listen, I can't blink without getting a letter from the IRS saying, hey, did you make sure that you did this? Did you make sure? I can't breathe. Listen, they hacking phones. They know what the hell is going on. And you telling me, are you trying to convince me that they don't know what's going on at the border? That they're trying to figure it out after all of these years, after decades and decades and decades and decades? You're telling me that this current administration and the ones before it didn't know what was going on at the border and they have no hand in it? Okay.
Many other families repeated the same story in the shelter, but all were too scared to talk on camera.
I'm going to play the rest of this. I remember when Kamala Harris and that fool, Mark Cuban, I'm forever changing my position about what I think about him. So many people expose themselves during this election. I remember that fool, Mark Cuban, they asked him, they said, hey, Mark, why do you think that they let so many people over here across the border? And you know what Mark Cuban said? You know what Mark Cuban said? I'm going to try to find it. Mark Cuban says, oh, I just think that they made a mistake and they let too many people in. Oh, it was a mistake. They just love too many people, and that's why they just so happen to let people in here. I remember when Mark Cuban said that wild stuff. I said, what? You are talking about the federal government. The federal government. Check this. Oh, I just found it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I said, wait a minute. You telling me this person is a shark? He know every single thing that there is to know about business. If somebody come up there and pitch him, he can evaluate whether or not they should or shouldn't. This man was smart enough to buy. He was smart enough to buy the Dallas Mavericks and get probably a 200,000% return on it. But he don't actually understand nothing with regard to immigration and why they left the borders open. This is what he wound up saying. Check this out.
Here's my opinion. I'm not speaking for the campaign with this. Yeah. I thought their hearts were too big when Joe came into office, that they didn't know how many people would cross the border, and it got away from them. But they figured it out. That's
what Mark Cuban has said. In real time, I'm going to go and pull it up. I'm going to pull up the receipts because I remember what's happening. He said, oh, you know what? Their hearts were too big, and it got away from them, but they figuring it out.
Chiapas was one of the safest states in Mexico, but crime groups have arrived in recent years to take advantage of the lucrative migrant smuggling trade. Mexico's government likes to highlight its success in stemming the flow of migrants, but what everyone here will tell you, albeit in a whisper, is that it's organized crime that controls who moves here, while the authorities turn a blind eye to it. One person who is not afraid to speak is Father Aman Vasquez, a priest in Ciudad Hidalgo who has spent 2 decades defending migrants.
During the previous administration, there was violence against the migrants, but it was hidden, not now. Now, they do it in front of everyone, for everyone to see. The kidnappers' trucks park in front of the municipality and take the migrants away. The municipal police, the National Guard, and all the authorities know what's happening. They are colluding with organized crime.
A terrifying.
I don't see nothing but men in that crowd. I don't see nothing but men in that crowd. Hey, ladies, didn't y'all say that y'all wanted to divest against black men? There you go. Hey, they said that they passport sis. They said that they divestors. There you go. He got on a Bad Bunny t-shirt or whatever it is, Angry Bunny, Hollister, Jordan hat. Look at all of these guys. I see nothing but pretty much all men. I think I see one woman over there on the left. One woman over there on the left, maybe one next to her. Other than that, this is all men. All young men that are walking into this country and taking it over and doing what they want to do and doing what they was doing in Chicago, smoking weed and doing everything that they wanted to do. It's just crazy. Y'all better gird up. Y'all better get aware and y'all better gird up.